Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Dazed and Confused. Alright, this movie, I've seen it countless times. I used to watch this movie like over and over and over when I was a teenager. This is like one of the best just like teenage party movies of all time in my opinion. This movie's amazing. Never gets old. There's just a bunch of random stuff I want to talk about, so let's jump right into it. One uh, sequence that I really liked is when the younger guy, the guy who's like a freshman, he's buying beer and he's kind of like putting on the act, and he's like, yeah, I just graduated. I'm working for the city. Um, I thought that was a super fun sequence and super relatable because when you're underage, when you're a teenager trying to buy some alcohol, you know, I feel like that whole aspect of like putting on a front, trying to tell a little story, like that's super relatable. Like you'd always try to like act like, oh yeah, I'm an adult. I just got off work. I was just working a 12-hour shift. I live down the street and I drove here. And do I ride a bike? Am I 16 years old? No way, sir. Hey, I'll just buy this alcohol here. So that was super relatable. Like there's like so much stuff that like looking back, it's like, man, that was so fun like to do as like a teenager, and this is so like true. Even though it came out in the 90s and was set in the 70s, I feel like you know teens in every generation can relate to this movie. This movie it's timeless, but I like stuff like that because it makes you like reminisce. It's like, oh, that was like fun back in the day, like trying to buy alcohol, or trying to hang with the older kids, or blah blah blah. Like it's just fun, relatable stuff. Another thing, like I was kind of thinking, like, man, I want, like, is the main guy like overreacting about the whole contract thing? But then I was thinking about like an experience that I had, and uh, we got this like new principal at my school, and he was just like cracking down on everybody for everything. Like at first everyone's like, oh, this new principal, he's so cool, like he's so fun, because he would like try to be everyone's buddy, like, hey, what's up, like I'm your friend. And I was like, immediately I saw through that. I'm like, this dude's being fake AF. Like he's got some ulterior motives, and he was cracking down on everyone. And like one time, it was like my senior year, I was like at a gas station buying some swishers, and then he like saw me there, and the age to buy tobacco was 18, so I wasn't doing anything wrong. But maybe because it was like a school night, he thought that was weird. And then the fact that like if you're buying swishers or white owls or whatever, like they know you're not just gonna smoke it, you're gonna roll something up with that. So he like called me down with the athletic director, and they like forced me to do a bunch of drug tests after that, because I guess in the athletic code of conduct, like you have to sign something where it says you're not allowed to like drink or use tobacco products or whatever. So like the whole, like, because I did like a couple sports and I was like really into sports and stuff, so like they tried to hold that over me, where it's like, all right, if you want to be on your sports teams, you got to submit to these drug tests now. So like I was smoking that the devil's lettuce on the reg. So like I just had to like totally quit my senior year, which kind of sucked, because like your senior year, like you're trying to turn up, you're trying to party. Like I was trying to smoke, I was trying to have a good time, so I had to like totally quit and like take a drug test every week, and it was some BS. So I totally relate to the main character on that. I think that's some BS that they make you do that. And it's even more BS because in the 70s, the drinking age was 18. So if they're saying like, okay, you can't smoke or drink, well, they're going to be seniors. So if you're a senior, you're usually like 18. So the smoking age is was 18. The drinking age was 18 at that time. Like, why do they have to sign this BS contract when they're of legal age to smoke and drink? The weed stuff, that's a whole other thing, but I still think it's BS, and I totally get why the main character is like upset about it. Like, I don't think he's maybe overreacting a little bit, but it is some BS, and I can totally relate to that. Because I think they mainly do that with like athletes, you know, where you got to sign like this athletic code of conduct. Like did they do that with choir people or like band people or different clubs? Like they just crack down on like people who play sports and are like, man, you can't do any of this stuff in your free time and blah blah blah, even though you're not on school property, blah blah blah. Like it's some BS. Like kids are gonna be kids. Like chillax. Like as long as they're not, you know, drinking and driving, do anything crazy. Like take a chill pill. Another thing that I thought was cool was like I thought it was cool that they let the younger kids hang with them, because you know they were, you know, hazing them quite a bit, but at the same time they're like, hey, you know what, like you proved yourself, like you took the hazing, you know, you weren't like a total wimp about it, like come hang with us, we'll show you a good time. That was super cool, and like that would be so fun if you were like that freshman girl or that freshman guy, like you're just, you know, starting high school and you're getting to like experience this crazy party with all these older kids and like get like a taste of like that's like probably one of like the best parties, and they get to go and just like totally be involved in it like super early on in their high school career. So that was cool. Like all the older characters were super cool. I thought it was also really nice that there were like different groups of kids, like, you know, the football kids were, you know, hanging together, and then there was like that group of kind of like nerdier, more like intellectual kids, and then there was like the stoners. Like those were like the three main groups, but they all like pretty much got along. They weren't like making fun of each other, like maybe like a little bit, but for the most part, like everyone in the different groups like respected each other and got along. And like at the end, like when they're partying, like everyone was invited, they all got to like come through and share the same experience. So I thought that was really cool. I don't like in movies when like the people are on some like gatekeeper stuff, like, oh, you're not cool, you can't come to the party. Like they're like, all right, like the more the merrier. Like the intellectual people want to come, the stoners want to come, like let's all hang out, like we're all cool, it's all good. So that was super nice, because they weren't on some judgmental BS, you know. Another point, I mean, this is like a given, but I mean, you have an absolutely fantastic cast in this movie. I feel like most of the actors in this movie, like when they were in this movie, it was before they really blew up. Like I think this was one of Matthew McConaughey's first movies. Ben Affleck, I think this was one of his first movies. This might have even been before Good Will Hunting. I don't know. I probably should have looked that up, but who knows? But and then you got the one guy from Halloween 4. He's awesome in this. Like there's so many stars that are, the one guy, the one nerdy guy, he's in like Saving Private Ryan. Like most of the cast of this movie, like they were super young at the time. I don't think they had done that much stuff, and they went on to have these like huge careers. Like Matthew McConaughey and Ben Affleck, they're like the biggest actors ever now, you know? And it's always cool to see people like starting out. I think these are like, I mean, even though Matthew McConaughey's done like so much stuff, like this is one of the main movies that I like remember when I think of him. Like I think this is one of his most iconic roles, in my opinion. That there's like a lot of quotable lines in this movie, but he has a ton of quotable lines. When the freshman kid comes in the car and he's like, hey, do you have a joint? And the kid's like, no, not on me. He's like, it'd be a lot cooler if you did. I totally butchered the accent there, but what are you gonna do? And then he comes through with the all right, all right, all right for like probably like the first time ever. I mean, that's iconic. And then I like the scene where all the kids, like the scene towards the end when all the kids are on the football field when they're like getting a little bit deep with it, and they're like, I just want to do everything the best that I can while I'm stuck here. Like, I want to say I did it the best I could when I was stuck here. Like that was like, even though this is like a teen party movie, I feel like it does it does have some good like emotional moments, and like I said, it's super relatable. I think teens today can relate to it. It's just like it's a fun party movie, but at the same time, it has a lot of heart. Like, it doesn't have like a super complex story, but it's like nice. It's just like the story's pretty loose. It's just like they're trying to find a party, and the main guy doesn't want to sign this contract, and is he gonna play football? Is he not? But like I feel like that kind of like that kind of works in the movie's favor. Like if this had like this super contrived plot, it would just like ruin the movie. I mean, I was looking this up. It has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. So I mean, that's insane, especially for this type of movie. But yeah, this is an amazing movie. I mean, everyone already knows. Like, everyone who's seen this already knows how good it is. So I mean, I'm beating a dead horse here. Another random thing that I want to talk about is I noticed this time watching it that like the teacher was like on some political stuff, and I was just like, what? Because it was set in the 70s, so I was like, man, teachers were on that political stuff back in the day. Because like I'm in school right now. I've said this in other videos. I'm like a little bit older to be in school. I'm like in my mid-20s, but I'm just doing my school thing, chipping away, having fun. But like the teachers nowadays are really on some political stuff, which I don't mind. It's like a little bit annoying, but it's like cool. Like they're coming from like a good place, and like I respect teachers and stuff. Like they have a hard job and whatever. But I was just like so shocked. Like I feel like I didn't notice that in the past when I watched this. But I'm like, man, like teachers have like been on that stuff. Like I thought that was like a new thing, like a 2020s thing or like late 2010s thing. But it's like, I guess teachers have been on that. I'm not hating, but I just thought it was like interesting. I'm like, what? Back in the day they were still on that, or they not still on that, or like back in the day they were on that. Um, yeah, it's cool that it's like a cool period piece. Period pieces are, for the most part, pretty good. Some of them are whack, but this was done super well. It's like it makes you want to be a teen in the 70s. Like, yo, give me a time machine. Let me go back to the 70s, party with these fools, turn up. Like, it's a great period piece. Like, it totally encapsulates it, like the time period with the clothes, with the music, with the setting, like everything. Like it doesn't feel like it's a 90s movie. Like it totally feels like you're in the 70s. It encapsulates the time so well. Just a shout out, like another movie by the same director, Richard Linklater, that's like another period piece, is Everybody Wants Some, that came out in 2016. I have that on DVD too. That movie, I feel like it's more underrated. It's not as popular as this. It's not as good as Dazed and Confused. You can't top Dazed and Confused, but that's like a really good period piece as well. I think that's set in the 70s or 80s. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's like about these college baseball players. That's a really fun movie as well. Just a shout out if people haven't seen that and they like this. It's from the same director, and it's another period piece. Like, it's like these college kids, they're partying, they're on a baseball team. It's like kind of like a coming of age type story. That's a good movie from the same director. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Just had to shout it out. And then just like a random thought I had when I was watching this is like, so this came out in 1993 and it was set in 1976, right? So it's 2023 now. So I was thinking like if they made a movie like this now, it would be set in 2006, which is like crazy. That I was just thinking about that because I was listening to the radio the other day. I was listening to the station. They play like a lot of like older music, not like super old, but they play like a lot of like 80s stuff, and they were talking about like how old stuff is now, and like if songs like they were saying like Nirvana, like listening to Nirvana now is like listening to the Beatles in the 90s or something. So it's like it's just like crazy to think about that stuff. Like now we're in the 2020s, so it's like yeah, like if a movie like this came out now, it'd be set in 2006, which is like that would be cool. Like that, I think that'd be cool because like I think the 2000s are like a cool time, and stuff has changed a lot. So I think you could do that. I think that'd be an interesting movie. But it's just like it's just crazy to think about. Like we're like in the full on future now. It's like you know it's like crazy. We got like iPhone 50. We got like virtual reality. Like I don't know. I was just thinking about that. I was like, whoa, bro. Um, yeah. And then jumping out. That was not a smooth transition. I'm like, oh yeah, just stuttering, just totally bombing here. Oh, and then a voice crack there, just totally bombing. People are clicking off dislike, dislike. Yeah, I already talked about this. I wrote the story is loose but entertaining. Um, yeah, and then last thing I'm going to touch on here, and then I'm going to wrap things up. Like I said, I used to watch this movie all the time when I was younger. I used to watch this all the time as a teenager. So, you know, now I'm like a little bit older, you know, I'm like, you know, technically like an adult, you know. I know it sounds weird that I'm saying like technically, but I mean, I don't know, I'm like still in my 20s. I don't like, I mean, I feel like an adult, but I'm not like, I need to still get my stuff together a little bit more, you know what I mean? But I got some room to improve, you know. I gotta get that like 401k and all that, you know what I mean? Gotta like get it together, you know. Start rocking sweater vests and stuff. Wear some like bifocals or something. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But anyways, like watching this movie as a teen is fun and super relatable. But then watching it when you're older is fun too, and it like kind of hits in a different way where it, like you kind of reminisce. You're like, man, like that was fun. Like this is a fun movie that I used to watch when I was like a teenager, and like man, being a teenager, that was like a cool time. Like that's like a cool time to look back on. So I think that's something that's cool about this movie and a lot of other movies. Like it's cool watching the same movie at like different periods of your life because you're always like watching it through a new lens, you know. Like you've had like so many different experiences, and maybe you notice things that you didn't notice before. So I think it's cool having watched this movie so much as a teen than watching it, you know, as I'm older. And it's like I still love the movie, but I kind of like see it in a different light, and it kind of makes me look back with like fond memories. Like, man, that was fun being a teenager, and like, oh, I did stuff like that, and like that was a great time, and man, I was so stupid back then. Like I would be doing that same stuff, you know, like, you know, I'm. It's like I almost watch it like an old head now. I'm like, what are these young whippersnappers doing? They're hitting mailboxes. They're drinking beers out in public. I mean, where are their parents? Where are the police? I mean, goodness gracious, you know. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not that much of an old head yet, but that was pretty much the last thing that I wanted to talk about. So just a little recap here. You know, upon rewatch, this movie is still legit. This is, I mean, one of my favorite teen movies of all time. I mean, this movie has a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, which, I mean, reviews don't always really matter. Like some movies could have bad reviews and be like amazing. Like critics are some punks. I mean, am I a critic? I don't know. I think technically I am. So I guess I'm a punk. But anyways, you know, this movie's well regarded. People love this movie. I think this movie is can resonate with people of all ages. It can resonate with like teens who are coming up now. It's timeless. And I pretty much say this with like every older movie and like every movie I review on here, but this movie's a classic. What more do you want me to say? So my overall rating, this movie's awesome. It's great. It's awesome. It never gets old. I would definitely recommend it. But with all that being said, I talked about everything that I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to end the review. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.